All right, good morning, folks. Today is October 17th, 2025. This is Coffee with Community Services, Alta California Regional Center's weekly service provider meeting. My name is John Decker, the Director of Community Services. Thank you so much for joining us today. I will do introductions of staff and then we will get into our agenda. So, for staff this morning, I see from our Community Services Department, Boyd and Alejandra and Shauna. Our manager, Michelle, is on. We have Jaslyn and Christine and our lead Jason as well. We've got Brandy on, and we've got Kylie on, and Carly and Sammy, and my assistant Zach is on. Good morning. I see Yvette, and we have Michael, who you will hear from shortly, and Jolana is on as well. We also have our manager of our quality assurance department, Scott, on. We additionally have Chris and Jessica from Community Services. Good morning. We have Mason and Beverly as well. Good morning. And from Client Services, we have our Client Services Manager, Carol Wilhelm. Good morning, Carol. We have our Specialized Services and Supports Unit Manager, Jordan, on. Good morning. We have Damien and Ethan. Our manager, Helen, is on as well from Community Services. We also have our emergency coordinator, Hubert, on, and our housing specialist, Rhonda. So good morning. Rhonda, if we have time, we shall see. We might talk about our housing stuff. So heads up, that might be coming up. For our agenda today, we've got a number of things. We've got our Deaf Culture 101 and Sign of the Week with Michael Mercado, our deaf and hard of hearing specialist. We have a spotlight with Angel Sense, who has joined us. We are going to talk about the new directives related to the QIPs, the Quality Incentive Program. So we're going to go over those. We're going to talk about also the upcoming webinars that the department is putting on related to those, so you are fully informed of it. We are going to be discussing the excessive mileage directive that came out. We had an excessive mileage directive that we've been waiting for since January, and we're going to discuss that a little bit. Jordan is going to be updating us on her RFP that she is releasing that is due November 6th. We're going to talk about the statewide expansion of roommate matching a little bit. We are going to also have a presentation from, or a invitation / presentation from PEC from Kate as well. And your co-host Kate, so you'll be able to share your screen at that point. And then if we've got anyone on from Pride, towards the end of the meeting, I'll probably call out and see if I can get a report back about the I Am Able Disability Job Fair. But first, I'm going to spotlight and throw it over to Michael Mercado, our deaf and hard of hearing specialist.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. So I'm going to start with the signs of the week. I've got 3 here today. There are some variations here, and I'm just picking the signs that I see that are most common. They're all related to Halloween. This first one is graveyard. The second is skeleton. And zombie is the last. So those are fun signs to know, I think. So graveyard. Right? So grave and yard, there's 2 different ideas here. So we're doing the same thing in ASL grave, yard. Skeleton, bent peace signs on our chest. Okay, that one's fairly simple. And zombie. Okay, let's do those again. Graveyard, grave, yard, skeleton, zombie. Okay, great. Good job, everybody. I'm going to send out the link to the YouTube video if you need some more practice. Put that in the chat. Okay, now I'm going to move on to Deaf Culture 101. I was talking about this with a friend of mine, and I thought it was a good reminder and thought it could be our topic for the week. So, deaf culture, of course, there are deaf people all over the world, and the deaf culture in different countries is different. So their culture is also, deaf culture is also related to what country you're in, right? So it's also integrated with that country's culture. So we've talked about deaf culture for several weeks now, and that's all related to American deaf culture. So that's whenever I'm talking about deaf culture, I'm always talking about American deaf culture. And so I'm sure you're wondering how countries' deaf culture may be different, right? So we've talked about American. We're going to talk a little bit about Japanese deaf culture and Brazilian deaf culture. So I'm going to give a little tidbit about American deaf culture again today. And so deaf and hard of hearing folks in the United States typically gather at different events, deaf clubs, and any age is welcome. So it's not uncommon for a deaf person to be friends with deaf people of various different ages. And the things that they share could be stories, history. Um, Deaf culture is very expressive visually, lots of strong facial expressions. Communication tends to be quite direct, and lacking that fluff that hearing people normally incorporate into their communication to avoid hurt feelings and things like this. So if a new deaf person moves to a new state or moves to a new neighborhood where they don't know deaf and hard of hearing people, um, and they find a community of deaf people, it's very easy to join that group. Those people will often be very welcoming and understanding that that person needs community. Now, with Japanese deaf culture, um, socializing is a big part of deaf culture there as well, but you need to be in a similar age group, right? We're not hanging out with folks. If I'm in my 30s, I'm not hanging out with people in my 60s or 70s, which is not uncommon here in the United States. The things they share might be storytelling. Of course, they're not doing that in American Sign Language. They're doing that in Japanese Sign Language. They will also host different performances or cultural events. Elders will support the youth or the younger people in a different way than we would here in the United States, offering advice and things like that. And in Japan, you have to wait for an invitation to be invited into a group of people. So in American deaf culture, you can just show up to an event, but in Japanese culture, you need to wait for an invitation. Their understanding of politeness is a little bit more firm or formal, right? Generally in hearing culture, their respect is much more black and white than it is here in the United States. So that's true also in Japanese deaf culture. Now, in Brazil, deaf and hard of hearing people in Brazil, they have a beautiful, rich, vibrant culture. They um, have lots of different colorful events and are always interested in sharing their history and culture with one another. So, storytelling, games, events, dances, body movements, facial expression, they're a bit more playful in their communication than in comparison to some place like Japan. They're full of energy and they have a very vocal pride about their culture. So, with these explanations, I'm hoping that you can understand that deaf culture doesn't look the same in every country, right? It is also related to that standard culture of that country. We do still have common experiences, right, about being deaf, and some of those things automatically transfer. We understand the experience of discrimination and oppression. We know how to get each other's attention by flashing the lights or lightly tapping the shoulder. So those things can often be seen as universal, but the details then are different depending on the culture or the country. I have experience. I've been to South Korea as a tourist. I'm very direct. I'm very expressive with my facial expressions, and sometimes I've had a hard time communicating with deaf Koreans. So it was interesting to navigate that. Now in Peru, I've also been to Peru. Very different there as well. So I've had my journey of learning how to navigate different countries as a deaf person in their deaf communities. So I wanted to share that with you to see that might be some new information for you that deaf culture is not universal. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Michael. Again, I think you consistently give us excellent topics that we otherwise would not be aware of, and understanding the experience of people traveling throughout the world and trying to communicate through barriers and challenges is excellent. So thank you very much, Michael. Much appreciated. All right. Sorry here. Okay. So now I want to go into, I'm going to go a little bit into the quality incentive program information that came out, and then we'll do a spotlight with Angel Sense right after that. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen with DDS's website. All right. And are we all seeing DDS's website? Yep. All right. So on DDS's website, they recently released the directives tied to the quality incentive program. And I say this, Michelle, I now see that they have right here on the front page of DDS's website the webinars that I think we're going to be encouraging people to participate in as well. And certainly you staff, important if you have questions about it that you guys look at it. So in order to find where the new directives are located, this is a little bit different. It can be kind of confusing. Um, let's see. So this is directives to regional centers. Sometimes I navigate to the rate reform directives. They're stored in a different place on the website. So these are the ones that we're going to be talking about here, the ones that came out. And these things are not necessarily surprises to you. These are things that have been discussed in this meeting previously. We haven't had it in directive form to be able to share with everyone. So again, this is talking about, this was the July 18th directive talking about service provider compliance in a number of different areas to be able to receive your quality incentive payment, a part of your rate moving forward. And so to be considered compliant, a service provider must either complete EVV self-registration or have the regional center confirm that the service provider is exempt from EVV. You must be in compliance with the HCBS settings final rule. And you need to be up to date on your independent audits if you are required to have an independent audit as well. One thing which I don't know, this has not been a big issue at our regional center, but some intermediate care facilities throughout the state are beginning to have to, they start falling under this threshold because we've been doing lag payments to cover the costs of funding for intermediate care facilities that have not been reimbursed by Medi-Cal, like in the timeframes. And so um, I don't know that we haven't had that much lag funding that's gone up from our regional center, but others have, and it's triggered this for some providers. But most importantly, this has always been a requirement. It's just now there's a requirement on the regional center that we verify this information on our end to ensure that you guys can receive your quality incentives payments. So this is just one of a few different quality incentive measures. So let me just see real quickly. I'll just check the chat and see if anyone has any questions. It's pretty straightforward. And we've known that these are coming, but just want to ensure that folks know where they're located on DDS's website. And once we start putting this in place in the upcoming fiscal years here. The next one that I'm going to share is the employment one. And Carly, you're welcome to unmute as I stumble through this, but this is the one that they've put out related to um, uh, QIP for employment. I believe that there was a lot of discussion in the QI. I'm just going to share, I think, this information, which is the measures for staff training and for employment baseline. So the total number and proportion of paid staff that completed training or became certified or recertified, trained for the Association of Community Rehabilitation Educators and the certification of employment service professionals. And so there's that measure. And then there's also this measure, number and proportion of individuals who have achieved any of the following during the fiscal year 24-25, attain individual CIE, including but not limited to individuals who transition from internships to individual CIE, transition from group employment to individual CIE, transition from day or educational programs to individual CIE, attain group employment, including but not limited to individuals who transition from internship to group employment, transition from day or educational programs to group employment, attaining a paid internship, and staying in their job for at least 30 days, 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, or 24 months. For these providers, you are going to be reporting this information through the Department of Developmental Services to verify your QIP. And all communication about QIPs, just imagine that all communication coming from the department is going to be related to the information that we have shared, saved in the provider directory. So please make sure all of your information is updated and in there related to that. Um, Carly, anything to add about this quality incentive?
I mean, you did good getting all the stuff. But I mean, most of these that the metrics that they're looking for are things that most of our service providers were already submitting for those, like the ACRE and CESP trainings and stuff. So that's really it's just more of kind of what you were doing last year. So hopefully that means the data is, pretty put together and accessible for you already. But otherwise, I mean, I don't think this is any new information.
No, I think, in many ways, the department is, it's a kind of a two birds with one stone. They don't have fantastic data about this stuff. And so rolling it into the QIP means they're going to be able, they're going to be able to get a much broader net, hopefully, and be able to tell hopefully a better story about all the work that you were doing as service providers to create amazing opportunities for our clients. So just encourage folks to review this information on DDS's website. And then, Michelle, I'm going to go back to the main page of DDS because it looked like the link was right on the front page there for, this is October 20th, Quality Incentive Programs for Employment. All right. There
Yeah,
it is.
there's several of them, John, if you want me to share my screen with what the email that we received.
Yeah, let me do that. Let me stop sharing mine. 1 second. Find my little 1 second. Okay, go ahead.
All right. Okay, are you seeing the email, John?
Yep.
Yep. Okay. So I've asked Christine Hobbs, one of our vendor coordinators, to send this to all providers. So you guys please keep a lookout for this email. So we received this just announcing the quality incentive program, the webinars. So it just is letting you know participation in the fall 2025 QIP data collection will determine the rates during the entirety of fiscal year 26-27. So we recommend that everybody that pertains to these particular QIP please log on and support and just make sure you gather that information from these trainings. So the QIP for employment, like John showed, it's on October 20th from 2:30 to 4:30. Just go ahead and click this link and it'll register. They'll send you that Zoom link. There's also the QIP for provider capacity. That one's on the 22nd of October from 2:30 to 4. And the QIP prevention and wellness will be on October 29th from 10 to 11:30. They will be posting these recordings. However, sometimes there's a lag in that. So we just recommend that you guys attend the live trainings.
Thank you very much, Michelle. While we're doing that, you should have got a email if you're signed up on our website to get the MailChimp emails as a service provider. Then you should have got notice that there is an upcoming webinar about not losing your 10% QIP rate increase. This is hosted by 6beds.org. The important webinar, it says it's for ARF and RCFE providers and any vendors or service providers serving individuals with developmental disabilities. Their primary group that they work with are adult residential facility and residential care facilities for the elderly providers. But as we just got done going over, this is a requirement for everyone. So if you want to learn more about this, I really recommend that folks register for this Zoom webinar. And I'm just going to copy the link and drop it in the chat. And one of the reasons why I am promoting this is because I was specifically asked to promote this by Amy Westling, the Association of Regional Center Agencies, because she's a speaker for this too. So on here, you can see who the speakers are. So Roxanne Gould, who I've worked with for years with 6 beds, Gina Wasdike, who's one of our local residential service providers out of Jordan's unit, and I think she works with Denise and some of the other residential folks as well in the past. And so just I want to encourage you as service providers to please think about attending this. The last thing that we need is, service providers to not be informed of these things. Typically, if you come to Coffee with Community Services every week, you're pretty in the loop about stuff, but just want to encourage that. Looks like it's Thursday, the 23rd. And as I said, Ryan Patchen, I believe, sent out a notice as well to everyone via email if they're signed up on our website. So there is that for the QIPs. And then I did say, since I'm in the residential vein of things, that, and I know we always have a few residential providers that are in this meeting, that I did want to bring up the other directives related to residential too. So again, additional, excuse me, for the QIP, we have this is the reporting that you are going to do. So if you're a residential service provider, and so for my team, check this out. These are all things that we certainly are hoping that we're finding when we go out and do evaluations of individuals that are residing in residential care. But these are some excellent health recommendations that are being made by the department here, and they're tying it to the QIPs. And this is also something that will be reported through the portal that the department has here with the service provider directory. So this is something previously the ARFISHNs, the adult residential facilities for people with special healthcare needs, were for, but wanted to pass this along. Eric, yeah, I see your hand up.
Thanks. I wanted to have a note about the that webinar, for the 10%. The Capital Coalition and the PAC have been asking folks to, as we're talking about this, we feel like when things are branded as rate increases, bonus, incentive, we're really concerned that that language is misleading and could lead it to some bad consequences in this fiscal year. So just for this group and for providers, as you're seeing that, technically it's called the Quality Incentive Program. That's what QIP stands for. So that word incentive is baked into how a lot of folks talk about it. But in reality, this is a discount. This is a penalty payment off of the rate that is the full rate. You would get less than that. So as we're communicating as provider groups, as individual agencies, as advocacy coalitions, as regional centers, and we're talking about that, a lot of us are going to try to really stop using that language around increase. This isn't an increase. This would be a cut to your rates. And as we go to, say, a really challenging fiscal year with Medicaid cuts, it would be really easy for legislators to say, well, let's reduce their increases, right? It's not an increase. It's a cut. So I just want to mention that out there. That's something that a lot of us now regret not fighting stronger for alternative languages, and now we're dealing with it, and we're worried about consequences. So I just wanted to put that out there. I was asked to start to share that out to as many groups as we can to try to look for alternative language that doesn't put us on the chopping block, so to speak. Thank you.
Excellent. And real quickly, just two things. One, if you could just share with folks what the Capital Coalition is, because I don't know that everyone
So the
knows, and we always
Capital
have new people join.
Coalition is, you guys, if you've been coming to Coffee with Community Services, you've heard about our PAC, the provider advisory group that Alta California Regional Center hosts. It's part of the mandated board structure. There's a group of providers that advise the regional center on key issues and provide support and training resources to the provider community as a whole. So that's the Provider Advisory Committee. And we've long had a legislative subcommittee that would meet and talk about legislative items. But because we weren't our own agencies, we were restricted on the amount of advocacy we did. So the group of providers here at this regional center came together and formed the Capital Coalition. And the Capital Coalition is just an advocacy group of providers of services in the Capital Region. And we are now providing support letters. We're looking at sponsoring legislation. We're hosting, the big one is we're hosting a legislative breakfast for our legislators this next week. So it's invited to all members, all providers that want to get involved in advocacy here in the Capital Region. The Capital Coalition is the group if you want to join with your local providers. So I'll put the link in the chat for the website I'll find that and do that.
Awesome. Hey, Eric, and just
Brandy
one
is
more
here.
thing. So I want to make sure everyone's clear on this too. Now, so for the incentive and the terminology and all of those other things, my understanding was, the legislature approved 90% of their proposed rate increases. That's what the legislature approved. And then service providers have the ability to earn the additional 10% of those rates if they complete certain quality incentive measures by the department. So just talking about like what's been approved by the state, my understanding is only 90% of the rate model rates that have been developed is something that was approved by the legislature, and the rest has to be earned in some form by service providers, which is why when we have new providers, we thought we could give you 100% right off the bat, but then we learned from the department that we had to get brand new service providers entered into the directory. So that's why I feel like we have so many people that are 100% right now. I am on board with the terminology of losing your rate. You are losing something. You are losing something. It's like many of you are already there. These are new quality incentives that you were not familiar with previously, and they will cause you to lose something that you actively have. I just want to make sure if people understand a little bit of the why
Sure.
behind the 90-10 part of it, and why we still
Sure.
use that term incentives, because it really does require an action by you to earn that 10% based on the ongoing changing decision of the department of what your quality incentives should be.
And we've inherited this language of quality incentive program, which we now regret that language as a community. I think everybody agrees it's not the best way to communicate what's happening. So I think the clarity is important here, John, and I would agree with how you stated that. The key difference here is that your rate, 100% of your rate, if you were to get 100% of QIP, that rate amount was the actual costs that were calculated to provide the service. So what's misunderstood here is a few things. So let's provide some clarity. You're only guaranteed legally 90% of the full 100% rate. That is what's guaranteed in this fiscal year, this budget year by the legislature. You have to earn the last 10%. But what's also misunderstood is that when the rates were calculated, your direct cost, there is no quality incentive extra amount in your 10%. The rates as they were calculated, 100% is supposed to be our full costs. So there's not an additional amount above that you're thinking, oh, it's an incentive, it's a bonus. I can get more than my costs to run that program. The rate is 100%. If you got 100% of your QIP, you qualified for every dime you could get. That rate model that calculated that rate doesn't include a bonus. That's our actual cost. So if you look at it from a fiscal standpoint, we see it more as a discount or a penalty, right? Because you're not going to be able to earn your full amount. There's not an additional amount that you can be eligible for. And that's really dangerous when people go in and say, well, this is a bonus, right? This is an extra amount. And we're going into fiscal years and they're looking for cuts. Because really you're cutting, there is no extra amount built into those rates. So that's why we're trying to help folks understand that and educate folks. So thank you, John.
Thank you. And I hate to harp on all of this so much, but it is just so important. Like,
Really
is
important.
extremely impactful when you guys have any like revenue dips and things like that to the service provision. And so we just want to make sure everyone is fully aware. Please attend our PAC meetings where these things also get brought up and discussed. And also folks are involved at advocacy level statewide and can bring back your individual concerns that you have as service providers to like through that Capital Coalition to some of the advocacy groups and direct communication with the high levels at DDS as well. So that's why your voice is so important. I'm going to just share one last QIP here, which is, excuse me, service providers will submit information regarding the zip codes in which they provide and are willing to provide services. And this is information, again, that is going to be put into the service provider directory. The languages in which they provide services, and their ownership structure, i.e. agency, corporation, or independent provider. Service providers will submit information on several aspects of operation, including the number of part-time and full-time staff on payroll at the beginning and end of 2024-25, length of continuous employment for staff on payroll, average starting salary and average hourly wage for staff, not including executive managerial staff, the number of vacant full-time and part-time positions, and the number of staff who have permanently left / separated from the service provider. Again, that's a lot of very detailed information to share with the state of California related to your businesses. And that is also being included here as well for that. So um, again, just wanted to make sure folks are aware where all of these things are located on DDS's website. And please participate in our vendor meetings and any of the QIP trainings that are being offered by the Department of Developmental Services. So
John,
as I said, 6 beds
this
or
is
other ones.
this is Jan Escamilla. May I ask a
Hey,
question?
Jan. Yes, please, of course.
What was the due date on all that data to go on the provider directory? What did it say? October 30th? When
They
you
are
would,
going to be they're going to be sending out emailed invitations. And so as we've done previously, we're going to check in probably in this meeting and ask people like, hey, the deadline for the emails went out. Did anyone get their emails yet from DDS to be responsive? And same thing on our end here. So let me share my screen again with it, Jan, and I'll pull up the date. Service providers who are validated. Oh, sorry. No, the October 30th date is making sure that you're validated in the system. We already know all of you guys are already in there. The data collection is for the period of July 1st of 2026 through 2027. So beginning November 3rd, you're going to receive a hyperlink to start sharing that information. And you need to complete your reporting by January 31st, Jan. So
okay,
I think again, like towards the middle of November, we're going to check in and just make sure everyone got it. And then as we approach the deadlines, we'll just check in with people. All right.
thank you.
Lots of that stuff. I am going to throw it over to Angel Sense now for a presentation. Let me there you go, your co-host. So you take it away.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Kaylee Wilk. I'm the Northern California Community Outreach Coordinator for Angel Sense. I'm going to make this pretty brief today, so I know we don't have a lot of time, but I just want to share a little bit about Angel Sense. We have assistive technology devices really focused on safety and also independence. I'm going to share a little bit more about the safety today. After I'm done, I will put my email in the chat. So please reach out to me, email me. I'm happy to do a fuller presentation and demo with either yourself or your team members or whoever may be interested. But for the sake of time today, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. So hold on one sec here. Okay. All right, so Angel Sense, we have two devices and it works with an app. The app is downloaded onto a phone or a computer or an iPad. Basically what happens anytime your device is in a location for just about 4, maybe 5 minutes, it creates a geofence. So these geofences, they're auto-created, they're never forgotten, they're unlimited. For the frequently visited geofences, you want to name the geofences. This is my home geofence here. And I'm going to show you, you can see a few different views here. Here's a satellite view. You can move the boundaries. So I have a neighbor here with a swimming pool. So I want to make sure my boundary doesn't include the swimming pool there. So anytime someone is wearing the device and they enter or they exit a geofence, you will get a push notification and they will begin what's called a transit route. I just kind of drove around the block this morning, so let me show you real quick. The transit route will show you the direction and the speed that the person is going. This is really important. If someone is eloping, you'll want to know if they're on foot, if they're on a vehicle, things like that. So when someone does get to their destination, and this is actually my son's school, you will again get another push notification telling you they arrived. So within the geofence, you can actually set, this is called indoor mapping. So you can really pinpoint the exact location. Again, for someone who does elope and you know they're nearby and you really want to be more precise, you can set that up for that. I also want to show you when someone does get to a geofence, you can set up arrival and departure times, which again notify you. So the app is really proactive. You don't have to keep it open. You will get those notifications as whether it's a family member or a staff member and things like that. This is really useful for school, but also a job site as well. And I feel like I'm going so fast, so I do apologize, but I just want to get through some of these tools really quick. So if you do have someone who elopes, we have the emergency navigator, and this gives you turn-by-turn directions to reach the individual, just like Google Maps or Apple Maps or something, but you just stay in the app. There's also a direct path feature, which is really useful if you're in a place where there are not roads, such as the beach or the lake or the park or something like that. It will provide a direct path to get there. It won't work right now because I do have my device, it's my work device with me right now, but that is one of the tools. Another really important tool is the alarm tool. Again, if someone is eloping or if they're unconscious or if they're hiding or if something's going on like that and you need to find them quickly, if they're in a crowded environment, you can set off the alarm and you will be able to locate them quickly. So the first responders, this is basically individuals who you pre-designate and pre-program into the program to receive an alert if there was an emergency situation. They would then receive a live link to your person showing their location and also the direction that they're going in. You can also share that location with anyone. You just plug in their text message or email. So they will also get a picture of your person. This is my son, Theo. And some people use this, the photo, they might want to update it every day. Or if you're going somewhere like Disneyland, you take a picture that day and it will show exactly what your person is wearing. Again, really useful in an emergency situation. I'm going to share a couple of the voice messaging systems. So the devices, you can turn it into a two-way communication device. It has auto pickup, so someone doesn't manipulate a telephone or a cell phone, which is really useful, not only if they are not able to use a cell phone, but if they're, again, if they're eloping, if they're unconscious or whatever is going on, you can get right through. If they're nonverbal, you can also speak to whoever is nearby and say, you know, this is my son, please stay with them, I will be right there. So another really cool feature is the voice messaging system. This is really useful for increasing independence. You can set messages to play on demand on specific days and times, and also arrival at a named geofence, such as welcome home, take off your shoes, and please lock the door, or something like that. And people can record messages to themselves as well. So especially with adults, it's not someone else telling them what to do or giving them reminders. They can really just remind themselves. So one other quick thing I want to share is we do have a Spanish profile option in the app. We also have fall detection, which is optional. This could be really useful if someone has seizure disorder or if they're older and they're a fall risk. We also work with schools. This is a very common question that comes up, where we can disable the voice features in the app, and they can also have school guardianship and things like that. So, but let me really quick, I want to show you the devices. So hold on one sec. Okay, so here are the devices, and they really function in exactly the same way. They both have an SOS feature as well. And the SOS feature can either send you an alert or it can send you a phone call and get right through to someone. The watch is really useful for adults. It's very discreet. It just looks like another kind of smart watch. It has a step counter. It also has a heart rate monitor and things like that. But another quick thing I want to share, hopefully I'm not out of time, is I'm going to show you how a lot of kids wear the wearable. So here we go. All right. A quick video.
Put the device in the protective sleeve and place it at the bottom of the pocket. Turn the pocket inside out, and use a fastener to secure the sleeve in place. Make sure the flat part of the fastener is against the body. This way, the device is worn discreetly and comfortably, just like a key fob in a pocket, but still non-removable.
So I went through some of those features really, really fast, but I just wanted to give you a brief overview of Angel Sense. It's definitely not for everyone. If someone is using a cell phone well and they don't have any safety concerns, it probably wouldn't be the right device for them, but it's really useful, especially for kids who have eloping concerns or adults who elope, and also adults who really want to increase their independence in a safe way. There's a bit of a vicious cycle, especially with families, and I'm a parent myself. So I know it's difficult to let people have more independence, and you want to have some oversight, or whether it's staff or a family member. This can really help support people to have some kind of remote guidance, but also having that privacy and that independence as well. But I appreciate you letting me speak today. I'm going to put my email in the chat, so thank you.
Excellent. Yeah, and if you want to link to anything as well on your website to share with people, appreciate
Yeah.
you bring this to us. And some of you are aware, but we just had our presentation. That's why I was gone last week. We had Supported Life Conference, and we had a few different of our assistive technology service providers that are vendored with us that were there and helped exhibit in the exhibit hall. So please don't hesitate to reach out to Kaylee in any of this stuff, and she'll get back to you and can answer any of your specific questions.
Yeah, thank you.
All
And I'm
right.
also here to support the service coordinators as well and walk them through the referral process and anything else that they need.
Awesome. Thank you, Kaylee. Next up, Michelle Johnson, Director of Client Services.
Hi, everyone. Good to see you. I'm here to make an announcement about our upcoming board meeting. Thursday, November 20th at 5 p.m. We'll be doing two presentations, one on national core indicators and the other on the year-end performance contract for the national core indicator, also known as NCI. We will be presenting data and findings on three surveys this year: the child family, the adult family, and the family guardian survey. And so regarding the year-end performance contract, we will be presenting on data and measures on topics that include where individuals live, our compliance with DDS's standards, as well as we will be discussing how we're doing at supporting individuals' employment and how well we are doing at reducing disparities and measures addressing equity. The board meeting, you do need to register for that, and John, looks like John is showing the link on our website. So I'm just here to promote that. You're all invited, and the data associated with these two presentations is also posted on our website. So again, I'm here to promote. So thank you for this space.
John, you're muted.
Thank you. I don't even know if I want to repeat what I said, though. I think I'll just move on. No, I was just reiterating that your guys' community feedback is very important to us. We listen to the stakeholders. That's what regional centers are about, is supposed to be, addressing the regional issues of our community. So please think about attending these opportunities when they come up to give us public feedback. And thank you, Michelle. And you guys are going to keep hearing about this, I believe, over the next month, right, Michelle? Because we really want our service providers to be actively involved in this area.
That's right.
Awesome. All right. Let's see here. I was going to check in because I know we have Helen, we have Allison on for an introduction. Is that correct?
John, probably next Friday. I don't think she's here right now.
I am
right.
here. I am
Oh,
here.
there she is.
If we'd rather wait.
Allison. Allison is my newest staff that will be handling primarily behavior services. And so I will let Allison talk a little bit more about herself.
Okay. Thank you, Helen. Thank you, John. I'm assuming people can hear me. Okay. Yeah, so I just started yesterday. Orientation was yesterday.
So training will start soon, but as Helen said, I'm going to be overseeing some community services in regards to behavior services. Prior to coming to Alta, I was working at our transportation broker, R&D Transportation. So I do have familiarity with vendorization, Title 17, a lot of the relevant details on that, just not for Alta and not for behavior services. But I'm looking forward to learning more about it and being of assistance where I can.
Awesome, welcome. And this is not our local R&D office, folks. We know how important it is. Allison traveled, right, to be able to come up and be in our
Correct,
area. So
yes.
welcome.
I moved from Southern California to Sacramento a few months ago.
Awesome. And then Scott, do we,
Yeah, we have
Alina?
Alina Cageley on as well. And she is new to our unit in QA. She's our newest QA specialist, and she'll be attached to the SDP program, some of the other services that are under Helen's unit. And Alina, if you want to say a few words as well.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I just wanted to say I'm excited to be here and to be joining, and thank you, Scott, for the introduction.
Awesome, welcome. I'm gonna jump over to the excess mileage calculator. Again, this is something that I'm gonna share my screen with real quickly. We're working on, we're gonna have to put out a specific message from probably Iqbal and I, like we used to, on how we're gonna operationalize this. This is still the same version of the calculator that we've had. I will say that I met with the Department of Developmental Services last week, and I appreciate Eric Champa helping out, explaining to the department that their calculator makes it seem like that the mileage to your first appointment is not something that can be calculated in the excess mileage. The department said that was not their intention at all, and it defeats the purpose of having an excess mileage calculator if you can't count the trip to the first appointment. And so just want to indicate that though the calculator still says only include mileage associated with travel between appointments and to transport individuals as part of the applicable service, the Department of Developmental Services has clarified that, and that is not our regional center's interpretation based off of that guidance from the department, whether or not they put it out or not. So I did want to go over the calculator with folks and just show them what it looks like a little bit. It does have a drop down here. What the idea is let's say one of you serve a very rural area and you're a speech pathologist or something like that, or respite provider or anything else. You're going to have an ability to have this calculator yourself, and you're going to be able to put your information in, and you're going to be able to submit it to us, the calculator in the Excel, and that's how you're going to bill for that service. So let me go through the calculator first, and then I'll go into the billing real quickly. So you're picking which it applies to. Right now, it's Early Start Specialized Therapeutic Services. It is Lanternman Specialized Therapeutic Services. It is infant development programs and respite. From the directive that the department put out there, I believe that they are open to expanding this to additional service providers. And if there is a service provider that believes that their mileage that they are doing exceeds the amount that is built into their rate, I need to know that information. We need to get that figured out. And so here's what I'm going to kind of propose. We're going to make this calculator available to you guys. The challenge is going to be you're not going to be able to the threshold funded miles will be a little bit messed up, but I just want folks to understand a little bit like what this calculator looks like. So I think we're going to put it out there to our service providers, but right now only the 4 service codes, 116, 117, 805, and 862 are going to be able to use it. I keep hearing anecdotally, whether it's supported living services providers or other providers, that there are people that are going beyond their mileage in their billing. And I'm very open if people want to bring this up at like the PAC meetings or in this meeting in the future too. But for now, let's say I am an 862 respite agency, and let's say I am a agency. Then let's say I did 840 billable hours in the month of August. And let's say that for those billable hours, there was 5,900 miles that went into that. What this calculates is based off of the respite agency, which everything has a different threshold, and DDS has calculated this into this. This is your excess mileage. This is the extra amount that be added to the rate, and this is your total excess mileage cost that you would be able to bill us at the regional center. So here's the process of how we're looking at doing this. And what did Iqbal want me to stress? This is going to be super easy. I think that was what his term was. So you express to us if you are under one of these 4 service codes that you believe that you are going to have excess mileage. We are going to send this calculator out. You send it back to us to pos@alterregional.org. You guys are very familiar with that one. And that will get us started on doing your first contract authorization that we will give you as a regional center. Once we get that initial contract authorization in there, you don't need to worry about billing us again until you have another one of these excess mileage. So it may not be every month. Maybe you're just going slightly over the excess mileage. But that is right now what the process we are looking like we're going to be doing. And we will put out some guidance, Iqbal and I, to the service providers so you understand specifically how we're going to set up the contract off and do that. I think I covered that. Helen, did I say that correctly? I believe. I think yeah, thank you. Because we always meet with accounting right before we meet with you guys to make sure we're telling you the most accurate information. And so they just let us know that's the process we're going to use. Is there any questions about that for the excess mileage? If you are an early start therapeutic services vendor, we're going to be talking about this again at 1:00 with you as well. But it is pretty straightforward how we're going to do that. And then I wanted to throw it over to Kate, please, if I could. Oh, sorry, Eric, and then Kate.
Just super quick, we're happy that the department is looking at this. We think that there needs to be a mechanism when clients need supports that are beyond what's in those rate models as a general average, that there's a mechanism to make sure that services and support stay in place. I just want to mention, I feel that strongly, and I'd love for other folks that provide services like ILS and SLS to really consider if this needs to be expanded to provide their services. And I just encourage folks, if you are having staff, if you have provided service that transports clients during the service or requires some sort of transportation in the community, and you want to have a policy that would allow your staff to get compensated for that travel miles or time, and that's an essential part of your service, that you think about advocating for these directives or these workbooks to be allowable for your service code, because right now it's probably not, unless you're a respite or a early start, or a therapeutic type service. So I personally think that should be something that I'd like to see more advocacy to for other services that might incur transportation costs.
Yeah, if they can make an argument for these 4 service codes, I don't know why it would be limited necessarily. I think they just don't have the data about what the need is. So, Kate, you are a co-host, so you can share your screen, I believe.
Great. Okay. I just wanted to, I know we only have a couple minutes, but I just wanted to quickly share about some free trainings that we are going to be having soon because of HCBS funding. So we created this website to house all the registrations since there are going to be quite a few free trainings that we can provide. There's 2 that I want to share today. So if you scroll down the website, you can see that we are going to be having Social Security benefits, and we are also going to have individualized training on how Social Security benefits impacts a specific person that you're working with. So you can sign up to have some one-on-one individualized training. And then we're also going to have a few webinars, but if you click on these, you can register for our December Social Security benefits training. And then we're also going to have a few ACRE basic customized employment trainings, free to anyone who signs up, first come, first serve. But there are a few other regional centers that we're working with. So for ACRE, for Alta specifically, Just make sure that you're signing up for the trainings that say Alta only. So if you click on that, you can fill out this registration page, and this one will be January 13th through 21st. I'll pop this link into the chat so you guys can have it and bookmark it, because we will also be updating this a lot with whenever we announce the dates of new trainings. I'm also going to add in a link so you guys can subscribe to our mailing list, because I'll be emailing out whenever we announce new dates.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Please sign up for these trainings, folks. Jordan, we've got an RFP coming out.
Sorry, I was muted there. Yes, let me share my screen. So I also just put the flyer in the chat. But I know that a couple weeks back, we shared with you guys that we did receive our awarded projects for our startup funds for community resource development. And we, of course, were awarded 3 generous housing development projects. But for the request for proposal, we are specifically pitching an enhanced behavioral support home. This is going to be for youth ages 7 to 17. This project is going to focus on helping youth that may have been placed out of state through child welfare, school districts, health insurance, right, to help bring them back to California, and also for children who have sexualized maladaptive behaviors. So we are going to be hosting the request for proposal on Thursday the 6th from 1:30 to 1 to 1:30, sorry. And this is both for the housing development organization to actually acquire the property, right, and also for the service provider. So we look forward to hosting you guys on November 6th at 1. We are posting this on our events calendar today and on our community resource development page. I'll plug that into the chat as well. But if you have any questions in the interim, you can always email the RFP inbox at rfp@altaregional.org. It's all on the flyer that I put in the chat. If you have any questions, just let me know, but we hope to see you guys there.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Jordan. And then I just, as I started, I wanted to end it. I'm throwing some pictures up here. So if anyone from Pride Industries wants to unmute themselves and let us know what we're taking a look at here. But it seems like we had quite a successful event here locally that was put on by you folks. And we had several of our staff that were there as well. Alejandra and Shauna, you guys were able to make it over there? Pretty crowded?
Yes, there was a lot of attendees there, even with the little bit of drizzly weather that was happening outside there. It was a packed event, a wonderful event too, just the same as the years before. We were really happy to be there, and we were nonstop talking about Alta and the wonderful event that was taking place by Pride. So happy to
Cool.
be
I
there.
saw that, and then Darlyn was on the news promoting it beforehand. So again, I just want to commend our partners at Pride Industries, and some of you may have been part of that as well, other service providers or other staff that went. But employment is such an important cornerstone of our services, and being able to have a job fair like that and create those opportunities is amazing. I hope everyone has a fantastic weekend. We're looking forward to seeing everyone next week. I think we're going to have a special guest. I think we have Dr. Lori Eldridge, who may be joining us talking about substance use disorder treatment a little bit. And some of you may remember Lori from forever ago when she used to run the Milieu Center. All right. Hope everyone has a great rest of their day, great weekend. We'll talk to folks next week. Take care. Bye-bye.